The Battlefront beta for PC, Xbox One, and PS4 just recently came out, and the overall reception seems fairly positive. However, one problem I see with the PC release of this game is that the recommended requirements are insanely high. Luckily though, PC parts prices are falling, and you can actually build a PC that exceeds the recommended requirements for this game for about $1,000. Whether or not you want to spend that much money on a gaming PC built entirely around one title is up to you, but while this gaming beast may be built specifically for Star Wars Battlefront, that won't hinder its performance in other games. For example, with this PC and The Witcher 3, you can expect to max it out at 1080p at around 50 frames per second. Launch Grand Theft Auto 5 and you'll have no problem setting everything to Ultra at 1080p and getting around 71 FPS. In Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, you can max out the game at 1080p and can expect around 81 frames per second. You can also max out Metro Last Light and Far Cry 4 in 1080p and get around 79 FPS in both of these games. Now, in the new Battlefront, you can max out the game with no problems at over 60 frames per second, and that's just in 1440p. Lowering the resolution to 1080p can get you over 80 FPS with the game completely cranked up, and all of that for only about $1,000. For the CPU, I chose the Intel Core i5-6600K, a quad-core successor to the Haswell processor recommended in just about every gaming PC build ever. The benefits the 6600K has over the 4690K include DDR4 RAM support and a newer architecture, making it slightly faster in just about everything from games to CPU-dependent applications. It's clocked at 3.5 GHz, but using the CPU cooler coupled with this PC build, you could get it much higher. Intel has stopped including stock CPU coolers with their K-SKU overclockable processors, so this PC needs an aftermarket heatsink and fan. And what better than the often recommended Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, a $25 CPU cooler known for being truly outstanding at its price. Plus, you can do a bit of overclocking with it. For the motherboard, I of course had to pick out a quality Z170 motherboard so that overclocking could be possible, but it also couldn't go over budget. So for $100, I think the MSI Z170A PC Mate is a good choice. It can support up to 64GB of DDR4 into 4 RAM slots, plus it goes for more of a cleaner black and gray color scheme that won't ruin the general aesthetic of the build. This may not be the best Z170 MOBO on the planet, but it will definitely get the job done. Star Wars Battlefront is strange in that the recommended amount of RAM to be able to run the game is 16GB. While I'm sure that's not the case, it's better to be safe than sorry. Plus, RAM prices are incredibly low right now. So for this build, I think the G.Skill NT Series 16GB kit is a good option. It's 16GB of DDR4 RAM for only $92, and it runs at 2400 MHz speeds, which I'm sure you can overclock a bit further if you want. No fancy heat sinks means this RAM will have no problem fitting underneath the CPU cooler without obstructing it. For the storage, I chose both a solid-state drive and a hard drive. The drive that you're going to put your operating system on, and of course Battlefront and some other games, is the Samsung 850 EVO 250GB SSD. This is a really fast solid-state drive, and while it may not contribute directly to faster performance, it can definitely help with launch and load times, not to mention your OS will start up very quickly. Now, I don't think 250GB is enough for anyone's storage needs, so this build also includes a 2TB Seagate Barracuda hard drive, so you can store pictures, videos, and other games. I have one in my own system. It's pretty fast and it hasn't failed me yet. Perhaps the most important component you need for a gaming PC is a gaming-capable graphics card. Definitely the bulk of the budget needs to be spent in this one area, which is why this build includes the $275 PowerColor Radeon R9 390, a beefcake of a graphics card with 8 whole gigabytes of VRAM. The R9 390 beats out the similarly priced GTX 970 in most games, and it has double the memory. Benchmarks from the Battlefront beta are now revealing that this game prefers AMD graphics cards as well. That, plus the fact that this video card is really geared for the future with its DirectX 12 support, is what makes it a perfect choice for a gaming PC, especially for one built to play Battlefront. A case to hold all your PC parts together seems like something last thought about when building a PC, but it's pretty important. There are general things you need to ensure when picking out your case. For example, can your case support the height of your CPU cooler? Can it fit that really long graphics card? You may also want to pick up a few case fans so that your computer parts get proper airflow. So, while a case may house your PC parts, it's also a home, dang it, and you should pick out a case that looks good to you, is compatible with all your PC parts, and gives you good airflow. I think a perfect case that's right in our budget but also looks good is the Enermax Ostrog. This case case has plenty of room to fit our Hyper 212 Evo and our graphics card with no problems. You can pick out a different case if you want, but I don't think it gets much better than the Ostrog in this price range. Finally, for the power supply, I decided to go with the EVGA Supernova Next 650 watt PSU. This thing is fully modular, 80 plus gold, and can power the system at load with no issue, with over 150 watts of headroom left over to overclock or expand your system. Clean power is really good, especially to ensure nothing but the utmost safety in powering expensive parts like these. Are you guys excited to play Battlefront? What's going to be your preferred platform of choice? Be sure to leave a comment below, like this video, share, subscribe, and all the other good stuff. Thanks for watching.